Whim Creek Hotel in the Pilbara is regarded by many as one of the state's outback treasures. Built more than 100 years ago, its unique history and character has made it a magnet for tourists. That's despite it being virtually in the middle of nowhere. The hotel has a checkered history. It's been battered by cyclones, eaten away by white ants, and has been on the brink of closing. That is, until mining company Straits Resources took it over and renovated. Layla Tusak travelled to Whim Creek for the hotel's grand reopening.
On the long, dusty highway between Karratha and Port Hedland, there's a turn-off few can resist. It's the road to what was once a thriving copper mining town. Now all that's left of that bygone era is a surprisingly popular pink corrugated iron building, the Whim Creek Hotel. Built in 1898, soon after copper was discovered in the area, the hotel has weathered numerous cyclones and been re-roofed over and over again. Even when the town eventually closed and people moved away, successive owners have kept the beer flowing. To many, this is no ordinary pub. It's a Pilbara icon well worth preserving.
Around the turn of the century, the building was imported from Germany in prefabricated form. As you can see, it's all steel frame.
Dennis O'Mara owned the hotel with some of his friends from the late 1960s to the mid-70s.
We bought it at the time when, if you heard a truck coming down the highway, you'd go out and light the Caro fridge to get the beer cool. We bought a pet camel here, and that became quite famous. The camel had the occasional can of beer. It certainly didn't become an intoxicated animal, as some people might have thought at the time, but it was a character and it loved being here, even if it ate the odd lady's hat out of a car from true story.
Then there's the story of the lunch-thieving python that lived in the rafters, and of course there's also a ghost.
Baby, don't you want to go?
The Whim Creek Hotel has quite a history. It's been the local watering hole for many miners and tourists. It's been home to a beer-drinking camel, and it's been the site of a murder. It's also said that if you don't stop here for a drink, you will inevitably break down. It was at this bar in 1912 that a man by the name of Thomas Darlington was killed in a fight, and some believe the old pub has been haunted ever since.
First one, I guess, would be that it was a union killing. Thomas was stabbed when a brawl broke out in the bar. The second one would be a bit more interesting. It's that it was a jealous rage. Thomas was caught in the act with one of the women upstairs, because it used to be a brothel. And someone slit his throat in the room. Now he sort of wanders around upstairs, freaking everyone out. And I'm pretty sure I've seen him.
There's also stories of plaster not sticking to the walls of a certain room, lights blowing out one at a time, and showers being used when there's no one there. It's even been a favourite haunt for Pilbara Minister John Ford.
Many a game of football, loss of football has been lamented here, and many wins have been relived. And so people have this affinity, especially old-timers like me who've been up here for a number of years.
This week, people were drawn back to Whim Creek Hotel for its reopening after extensive renovations.
Without further ado, it's great, it gives me great pleasure to facilitate reopening the Whim Creek Hotel.
When Cyclone John hit the Pilbara coast in 1999, it caused extensive damage. Many thought that would be the end of the Whim Creek Hotel and all its stories.
The winds were exceeding their max, whatever they predicted. I think they underestimated.
But Peter and Ingrid Rengel fixed it up and sold it. It's changed hands a few times since, until it was finally bought by Straits Resources. The company immediately embarked on restoration works so the hotel could service miners as well as locals and tourists once again.
I've heard a story that it was the pub that never closed its doors because the white ants had eaten out the door frames.
Very true, yes. They're still here, albeit we are trying to abate their progress, but definitely there's white ant damage, and a lot of the historical value has been eaten away with the termites.
The hotel is also an important landmark for local Indigenous people. It's here where there's been a memorial erected recently to honour 5 brothers from the Lockyer family who grew up at Whim Creek and served in the army, 2 of them losing their lives. While the hotel has undergone many changes, there's still more to come. Talk of a swimming pool and new accommodation for tourists. But what do people think of the facelift so far?
You'd serve people and you'd be sweating and it'd be really nice while you're giving them their meal. Like, hi, flies and sweat.
And they've turned it into, if you like, a small oasis.
A drunk camel have now heard it all. And that state